Witches, welcome back. We are at the final video for this week. I'm sure you're tired of seeing my face by this point, but yesterday's video got to be 45 minutes long of just me decluttering all of my stuff. And I thought that it was already long enough and I could not include like the recap and everything in there. So I decided to make it into a second video here. First of all, let's jump into the Grimoire overview flip through, because that is something that I said I was going to do yesterday and did not have time for. So let's cue the footage and flip through my Grimoire / Book of Shadows that I just finished making. And then I thought you might like to see this little grimoire that I was working on, like junk journal style. I thought it was just like a fun activity and a place to hold some stuff that I know the information, but it's nice to like have it someplace. And it was just like a creative outlet for me. So it's just a little guy, and it's lots of fun images and stickers and things, stuff that I found online. And of course I got my little raccoon and my protection sigil. Information about days of the week. Color correspondences. A blessing and protection for the Grimoire itself. Months of the year. Cleansings. Get into the Wheel of the Year section. So all of the holidays in here. And I hate my own handwriting. I am terrible. So I just found information online to print out instead. This is my birth chart, and then we've got the information here. This again is my birth chart, but then these are the planets. I have a little pocket here with some other things that I printed online. Some zodiac sign information, moon phases, and the spell work for those moon phases. The chant for a witch's ladder. Different herbal spells, some common herbs and their uses, common crystals, essential oils, incense, what you would put into a spell bag, some palmistry information, the witching hours, life paths, and just like general numerology. The dream dictionary, warding and banishing. I have the sigils here, so I can put a piece of paper over this and like use this or trace something. The tarot cheat sheet, various spell jar options, and then we have protection and health and elemental spell jars. And then in here I have more printouts from online, a lot of other spell jars in that little pocket. Glamour, witchcraft, coffee magic, witchy morning activities, low energy witch activities, home magic spells, front door protection, so rules of the witch home, pet blessings, chakras, tea leaf reading, more about tea leaves, different tea brews, more about kitchen witchery and what you can use for each of these topics that you would have in your kitchen, ABCs of a kitchen witch. And then a final charm for protection that folds out like this. And we're at the end. So hopefully that was fun to see the flip through of that information. It was just fun to work on something tangible and make it myself and have that information in one place and then have it like look nice on this shelf. I don't think it's done. I think there's like pages that I could add more things to. But for now, it was a fun little project, and I'm glad that I tackled it and proved to myself that I could do something like this, because I always say that I'm not very creative or artistic, but being able to find that information online and like print it out and have it look nicer was a major motivating factor. That was a good element for me to realize that I could do that. Now then, I wanted to just do sort of a follow-up of what I got rid of and why. And hopefully that will spark some ideas, give you some insight into sort of what I was thinking, what went through my head in getting rid of all of these things, and hopefully help you if you are doing your own decluttering journey. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about where my practice is going to go from here and what I potentially might want to restock out of everything that I got rid of. First of all, is let's go over some insights of everything that I decluttered. I got rid of so much that was scent based. That was the first thing that stood out to me when I was editing the footage and listening back to what I was saying. I am so sensitive to scents, and that's something that I either didn't pay attention to before or just didn't accept, that I was sort of like, oh, well, I can get over it. It's just like a small, piece that is in here. But I am much more sensitive than a lot of people when it comes to the scents of items. So that alone was a reason to get rid of a lot of things. I just didn't like the way it smelled. Also, things that I had way too much of and just realistically were never going to go through, especially before they sort of turned and went bad. So, herbs don't last forever. Oils and potions and things don't last forever. So I had to be very honest with myself about what I'm actually going to use up and how quickly I would be able to do that. And those chime candles were one of those things that I was like, I am never going to get through all of these, especially when I do use a chime candle and light it, or even with tea lights. I almost never let anything burn all the way down. Some spells call for that, but it just doesn't work that well in my practice, so I don't bother doing that. And once I'm sort of done with the spell, done sitting with it, I will just snuff out the candle. So they tend to last absolutely forever. And there was no way that I was going to go through all of those. That whole process just involved being very honest with myself about how much time I want or am willing to dedicate to a spell or ritual. I also got rid of a lot of items that served the same purpose in favor of narrowing down the collection and narrowing down what I'm actually going to use in a spell or ritual. Because I had, especially with herbs and crystals, maybe 5 crystals and 3 herbs that would do the same thing in a spell. But when I do it that way, I feel the waters get kind of muddy. And it's better to just have one herb that works really well in that situation, or one crystal. There's no need to combine all of them if it's not working for me. So when there were all these like duplicates, I'm like, these all do the exact same thing, and I'm not using this second or third version. There's no point in keeping that cluttering up my life. Surprising to me was that I ended up getting rid of a lot of baneful magic items. I have in the past done a lot of baneful magic. I haven't been doing it lately though. There's just not as much need for it. So I was surprised that I got rid of so many items, but then I realized also that if I need something like the war water or, hot foot powder, that those things for me are better made in the moment. I know some witches don't like to do spell work when you're heated or feeling very emotional about a situation, that could affect how well the spell does or doesn't work. But I personally, when it comes to baneful magic, I want to make the ingredients and do the spell while I am heated, because that anger and energy just feeds into the spell, and that is what I am going for. So I use that energy in the spell work. So if I do need to do something and do need those ingredients, I would rather make them in the moment when I am feeling those emotions. And then lastly, I just wanted more clear space. I want it to be open, easier to see things, reach for things, actually use them. And for some of the things, I just wanted them to be better loved, and that wasn't going to happen in my space. So even if they were cute and little and could just be decor pieces around and wouldn't, disrupt my life that much, they just weren't getting the amount of appreciation that they should be. And I'd rather them go to a home where they will get that. Overall, I feel good about the things that I decluttered. And after I was going through the footage, I was like, there's a couple of more things. So I think after I am done filming this, I might add a few more things to the declutter pile. It is just so much less mentally taxing to have those things like out of my space. I feel better. I feel less stressed about it. And that it might not take up a ton of space in the grand scheme of my house, but the mental space that it was taking up was a lot. So overall, I feel good about all of the progress that I made. With that said, I also had to, during the process, get very clear on where my practice might be going in the future and think about the things that I might like need or want. So that, is what's going on right now. Like, what am I doing in my practice right now? And then what I am planning on coming up, or kind of see down the future of things that I might want to do or learn about. So first up, even though I got rid of a bunch of candles, I do love candle magic. I like carving and decorating them. I like using them, but like I said, I only burn them for a few minutes at a time. So they really last forever. And I just prefer tea light candles. So the Chime candles weren't really working as much for me. But like you saw, I kept all of the tea lights because I am confident that I will use those up. I have determined, I have a book behind me, Way of Four. We talked about that on the podcast. The author, Deborah, was on. And it's all about the elements, but specifically the ways that they relate to your life and your personality, and how you can use them in your home decor or reflect them in your clothing. And there's tons of quizzes in there, and you check off the things, and then it tells you at the end like how much of one element or the other that you are, and ways to balance that out if you're too high in one and too low in another. I thought that I was, like, personality wise, going to be a lot of water element since I am a Scorpio, but it turns out that I am very much earth element. That comes through a lot. And each element has its positive and negative personality traits. So there are very good things about all of them. And there's also some negative things that can come through. And if you're experiencing those negative things and want to combat that, you go with spell work that uses the opposite element. So for myself, like I said, earth element, lots of great personality traits for that. But my negative ones that come across, I'm resistant to change. I'm stubborn. I'm okay with those things. I try to work on them. But something else that comes across is that I can be very lazy and I can procrastinate a lot of things. And sometimes that is that, fear of it not being perfect. So I just don't get started at all. But a lot of times it is just because I'm lazy. It's like earth element personality, just very like lazy and unmoving. And the way to combat that is fire element. So literally and figuratively lighting a fire. And it is especially useful when it comes to all the goals that I just set earlier this week, anything related to motivation and like health and fitness, getting moving, things that are related to creativity, creating content, all of those things I would need fire element to combat my earth element tendencies. So that is why I want to keep some candles around, especially the tea light candles, and work on that candle magic and that fire energy. Things I do and can see myself continuing would be protections, self-care, health and happiness, joy. And for those things, I like tangible items. So I like spell bottles and charm bags. And you saw I kept both of those. And I can do all of the spell work with just my own energy. I don't actually need stuff, but I do like having a small tangible reminder of that spell work that I did. And I just like the correspondences and using things. Like I said, I like the color correspondences. So I will continue to do that in my practice and have those little items around or carry them with me. Things I would like to do more of: writing. I do enjoy writing, and I have my whole life a big writer, and I have not been doing that as much. I don't foresee myself doing a daily journal practice. That's just not practical in my life. But to do more writing, and especially more writing as it relates to spell work. Right now, I will just make a sigil or write like 1 or 2 word sentences, little intentions or petitions, and tend to burn them in the candle magic. But that's it as far as like the writing that's incorporated into my spell work. And I would like to do more. If I'm going to sit down and do a spell or ritual, I would like to do more writing leading up to it, just getting all of my thoughts and ideas like down onto paper, not typing, onto paper. And then the follow-up as well when it's over, again, addressing like my feelings and thoughts on the situation, and just keeping track of that a little bit better and just doing more of that writing work. I would also like to do more divination. My divination practice ebbs and flows all the time. I usually do tarot and oracle card pulls. There have been seasons in my life where I will pull a card every single day and do a reading in the morning. There are times when I only do spreads related to the new moon or full moon, Sabbath ones, so only a couple of times a year. And sometimes I'm just not doing much of anything. So right now I'm in those like not too much of anything phase, like maybe once a month pulling a card or two. So I would like to do more with that because I do enjoy that. So more of that sort of divination. And I would also like to try charm casting. You might have seen in my collection, I don't really have that many charms, but it is something that is newly fascinating to me. So I would like to try it. And before I go out and collect any charms, definitely not going to buy them, I am going to see what I have around the house and pick up things because you can, use rocks and sticks that you find outside to do charm casting. So I want to try my hand at that. I think that will be something new and fun to practice. I am absolutely going to keep closer track of what I do or do not use, especially in relation to the herbs that I kept, which I didn't think was too many. There's not that many sitting over there. I think it was 8 that I kept. But I really am going to see what actually gets used and what just sits there for the next 6 months. So I'm going to keep track of that. And I'm going to clean up the desk. I mean, it's mostly cleaned now, you saw it, but I'm going to set it up a little bit differently and keep it as a working altar space so that center area would be completely open and things would be in reach to use easily, because I don't use my laptop up here like I thought I would. I thought I would use the desk space to actually like work at and record episodes or things, but I really don't. I really only use my laptop downstairs on the main level. So I think I can like leave that center space open and leave it as a really good working space, and then have the crystals and oils and things right at hand there someplace. So we're going to set that up a little bit differently and make it an entire working altar. In terms of restock, it is still a no spend year. I said in my goals video, I'm not changing that goal, even though I've been failing in June. We're going to start fresh. I've been better the last couple of days. And we're going back on the no spend wagon. So I'm not restocking anything yet. I am keeping these things at the forefront of my mind to potentially put on wish list for my birthday and Yule. My birthday is November 20th, so it tends to just be one big wish list. I obviously love minimalism, not big on stuff. However, my husband's love language is gifts. Loves giving gifts, loves getting gifts. So I have to be mindful of that. And he's going to do it regardless. So if I don't give a list, he's just going to wing it. So I always make a list and I think long and hard about the items that are on there, and I try to make them very practical and consumable. So I already have like a list going, and I have like my shampoo and conditioner on there because I know I'm going to need them. I'm going to need to restock. So why not have the gifts be something that is practical and then I don't have to buy them myself. So I do keep the lists like that. And I will say that he's good about the other stuff. My love language is acts of service. So I would rather you not buy me a gift. I'd rather you change the oil in my car. So he is very good about that too. He knows that that's my love language and he does lots of things like that. But there is just no getting him off his gifts. His whole family is big on gifts. So it tends to be a whole influx of stuff at Christmas, which is why I make these very specific lists of things that I want. So the witchcraft items are on there as well. First up is in the candle category. I know I mentioned I don't like the chime candles, but something I do like in terms of large candles is the pillar candles that are in glass. So the 7-day candles or prayer candles, they sell them at dollar store. And I like those because you light them a little bit each day. You can keep them burning. The idea is you light it for a few hours every day for 7 days. And there's just something about that intention and keeping it at the forefront of my mind for an entire week that I think helps manifest the spell better. I'm putting more like energy and intention into it. I love the intention candles from House of Intuition. They tend to be pricey. I think they're $24 if you don't get them on sale. I love them. They have worked every time. I have talked about them on the channel and on Instagram before as well, but I have very great success with those, every single one that I've lit. And the idea is that you set the intention, you light it, and leave it lit for however long. Each day you can snuff it out at the end of the day. You can leave it lit as long as you are, practicing candle safely. You leave it in a bowl of water or whatever. And every time you look at it, every time you pass it, you rethink of your specific intention. And that just keeps it at the very forefront of your mind. And then you will probably be more likely to do the mundane efforts that are related to that. So if I lit the, money, abundance, prosperity candle and think about my specific intention every time I pass that candle, I'm more likely to not spend money, to think carefully before I go buy something, all of those attributes, those mundane efforts would be much more at the forefront of my mind if I'm passing and then thinking about that candle every single day. So I really love those, but again, that is something that I can do myself and set the intention with any candle. So I could go get them from the Dollar Tree. I do like the pull-out candles though, which they do not sell at the dollar store, at least not that I've seen. And the difference is, if you've seen like the glass, like pillar candles, they tend to, the lip at the top tends to come in. So the candle is in there. You are not able to get it out. But there is a version called pull-out candle, 7-day pull-out candle, where the lip at the top is wider and the whole glass is wider. So you can pull out the pillar candle and then you can carve it and decorate it however you want and then slip it back in there and then continue to reuse that glass and just get refill candles for that. So I think I would like some of those. I do have a glass around here somewhere. I think it's downstairs in the kitchen. I think I was cleaning it and then just stuck it in a cabinet. It should be up here in the collection. So I have the glass and I would like to get some refill candles to go in there. And then if House of Intuition has a sale between now and Christmas, I will happily pick up some of those. Well, John will. Another thing I am considering for the restock list is oils. I realized I like those much more than I thought that I did, and they're more useful to me than I thought that they were. I just have to be careful about the scents. That's really what I was getting rid of in the collection, was just oils that I didn't like the scent of. But if I make the concoction and control the scent, I will be much happier with that. So I would like to get a few more because they are very useful in anointing myself and my candles. And 2 scents that came to mind, I think just because I was thinking about you all, but was bayberry and cedar. For some reason, those 2 are just calling to me lately. So maybe I need them in my collection somehow. Might do like a little bayberry oil of some sort, or bayberry candles, or do like a cedar oil or cedar chips or something. So those 2 scents came to mind, but definitely checking out some oils that I might want to add to my list that I thought could be useful in my practice. Like I mentioned, the charms for charm casting, I am going to collect some free items and try my hand at it first. And then if I find that I do like it, then I'm going to be more specific about gathering charms, even if that means that I might put a couple of things on a wish list. But for the most part, I think charms are things that are like that you already own, that maybe it's like a ring that I don't wear that's down in my jewelry collection, something like that, and things that you find that have some meaning associated with them, because that's the idea of charm casting, is that each item is unique to you and you assign your own meaning to it. So when it comes up, you cast them and it comes up in a reading, you will know what that means to you, but it won't be the same to anybody else. So it's about finding things that are around your home or things that call to you in nature. So that is mostly free stuff, but that is something that I'm going to stock and start a charm collection and see if I like it. If I don't like it, they're not staying. And lastly, I would like a couple more charm bags. You saw the velvet ones. I've only got, I think, black, blue, and purple maybe that were in there. And I very strongly associate with like color associations. That's like green goes with money spells and blue goes with calm and healing. And I use charm bags enough that I would like a few more colors in those velvet bags to associate, with those various things. Black and white work for everything. I don't have a white one. Need a white one. Black and white work for everything, so you can always use those in place of the different colors that you don't have. But I think there's certain things like a green. I would love a green one that I use often enough. Yellow for like happiness, joy. That I think I would use them often if I had those options. That's everything that I plan on restocking. And then from now until the end of the year, as I'm running through this list and adding things to it, I am absolutely going to be more mindful of the fact of what do I actually use and let my practice dictate what should go on that list rather than social media or the witchcraft store, because that is something that I am absolutely guilty of, especially going back and looking at all of the things that I ended up decluttering. like so many of those things were influenced by social media or just walking into the witchcraft store and letting it dictate like what I want. Is a terrible way to shop for anything. It doesn't have to be witchcraft supplies. That is just not the way to shop mindfully. So I am absolutely going to stop doing that and just be way more cognizant of what my practice is actually telling me that I need. So that's everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed this week of ridiculousness of mid-year freakout and adding goals and decluttering stuff and then making a new list of things to buy. It has just been a week of chaos, but I feel like my brain is now empty. I've gotten these thoughts out. I've gotten these videos out. So now I feel like I can relax and move on to July 1st and restart over on some of my goals, start some new goals, and just have like a better focus for the second half of the year. Fingers crossed. That's everything that I have. So let me know down below which one of these resonated with you. If you did some decluttering, I know some of you have already said you're going to start that this weekend. I wish you luck. But do let me know what your plans are, if you're adding any goals, if you are also having the mid-year freak out. Let's chat in the comments. And if you did like these videos, be sure to hit the like button and also subscribe. I will be back next week to chat about like the June recap, specifically all of my money failures and the books that I've been reading, because June has been much more successful than May was. May was a lot of disappointing reads, but June has been better. So talk about all that next week, and then I have new videos coming in July. So do stick around for those. That's everything for this week. I will see you all in the next one.